I'm Xavier, and welcome to the Danger Room. Before we get started, for full disclosure, and despite the name, none of the animals you'll see here are actually dangerous. Some people are scared of reptiles, and that could mean because of how they move, say they're slithering or scurrying, their scaly look, or their general cold-blooded nature. Maybe even just saying the word reptile brings to mind an alligator smiling at you menacingly, or an anaconda auditioning for a role in a horror movie. I'm sure most of you watching are already aware that this isn't the norm, and that most herps are harmless. Most of the reptiles and amphibians you'd ever encounter are no threat, and in fact are more likely to need our help in some way. One of my goals for this channel is to demystify locally occurring reptiles and amphibians and explore what makes them so special. In the following 4-part series, I'll take you on a tour of my animal room, introduce you to the inhabitants, tell you about each species, and share a bit about how I obtained and built their enclosures. Now, these were all built well before the idea of a channel, with a few others in various stages of completion. So unfortunately, at this time, there's no step-by-step build footage, but I do hope to share that form of content in the future. Without further delay, let's get to it. The first enclosure we'll explore in this series is a refurbished 20-gallon tall aquarium, currently home to a single spring peeper. At roughly 1 inch in length, he's already nearly full grown and won't get very much larger than this. Spring peepers are a local species of tree frog, though they're commonly found hopping along forest floors. They have the ability to alter their coloration to match their environment, though not as ostentatiously as a chameleon. They can't change to bright red or blue, but they can become lighter or darker as needed, allowing them to blend in with lighter colored woods or darker barks and soils. Their defining feature is the darker X-shaped band on their back. As you can imagine, being such a small animal requires smaller prey items. In the wild, they feed on any small insects and invertebrates they can fit in their mouths, such as mosquitoes, small slugs, or, in this case, small crickets. As mentioned, this enclosure was a refurbish. So a little backstory, my son's daycare was getting rid of their old aquarium, stand and all. And after sitting for about a week, I finally just gave in, jumped at it, and gave it all a new life. Now, I should also say I have a history, as well as a present, of scavenging old tanks, and as you'll eventually see, all my tanks are recovered in some way. For this one, I disassembled the tank, removed the front panel, cut it into 4 pieces, and reassembled the tank to be front opening. I measured the dimensions and then purchased some pine molding trim, cut to the appropriate lengths, sanded, painted, and siliconed them to the perimeter of the tank. I also drilled the rear of the tank to accommodate a canister filter, and built a screen lid using window screen frame and neodymium magnets to keep it in place. The interior is a rock wall and cocoa fiber background, with a waterfall formed from the filter outflow. The land area is a false bottom made with egg crate and filter foam, with a lava rock wall as the face. The soil is my own blend of cocoa fiber, terrarium moss, bark shreddings, play sand, and charcoal, with sand as the aquatic substrate. I don't really keep aquatic plants in here. However, on land I have a sword fern, a prayer plant, red vein photonia, and a peace lily as the main accent, growing from the waterfall base. In addition, I have various mosses and some liverwort on the rocks. I built this envisioning it as a home for tree frogs, but I may consider refurbishing or decommissioning in the future. The mosses haven't really taken as I'd hoped, and while you can't necessarily tell due to a recent water change, the aquatic feature gets quite messy as debris runs off from the waterfall and everything beneath it. There's certainly room for improvement, but the inhabitant appears happy, so it's not an immediate concern. Moving on, this is another refurbished 20-gallon tall aquarium, though of a different variety. In a previous life, this was a 20-gallon hex aquarium. It may even seem familiar to some of you if you've ever gone to a certain big blue pet store. Can't quite remember the name, some kind of mark for pets. But if you've been, you may have seen this top fin aquarium in one of the aisles. They retail around 150 Canadian as part of a kit. I found this specific tank in the trash. Someone threw it out at our old place and left it by the dumpster because it was broken. There was actually a crack on one side near the bottom. Now, cracks are an endgame for aquariums, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the story. If properly addressed, they can be repaired and find new life as a terrestrial setup. So in this case, I siliconed both sides of the crack, and once cured, I removed the front pane on the opposite side, cut it into 3 pieces, reattached the top and bottom, and outfitted the middle piece into a front opening door. I purchased glass hinges and used old trim removed from a previous aquarium to build the trim around the door, as well as to make the handle. I attached neodymium magnets for use as a locking mechanism. The original top opening is now covered by window screen, and in the lid I outfitted an LED floodlight. The inside is a cocoa fiber background with protruding rocks. You'll actually see similar rocks throughout this series. They're handmade from styrofoam, coated in concrete, and painted with acrylic paint. Preserved moss was used to fill the excess gaps between the rocks. A false bottom was made from egg crate and a layer of pebbles, which I then covered with a sheet of weed control fabric. More pebbles were added to hold it in place, and then topped with my mix of terrarium soil. I placed a few sticks and bark pieces as well, and attached some additional sticks as though protruding from the rocks. The plants include pothos, a spider plant, arrowhead, as well as some markdown plants my wife had found that have taken root nicely. While I envisioned this as a home for a small arboreal snake or even a gecko, it became home for one of the smallest snakes you're likely to find, the DeKay's brown snake. This is both commonly seen and also commonly missed due to its small size and camouflage. As the name implies, they're a brown-colored snake, but maybe lighter or darker shades to even a grayish coloration. The only real defining feature is a few black scales on their neck, which give the appearance of a ring or collar, as well as a series of black dots down their back that give the appearance of stripes. This species has been seeing some interest as a pet in recent years, as they're small and easy to accommodate when it comes to space, as well as the fact that they're squeamish friendly when it comes to feeding. For those that aren't comfortable feeding rodents or even fish to their pets, DeKay's browns feed largely on invertebrates, mostly worms and slugs. They can also learn to eat organ meat, in the event handling worms and slugs is still too icky for you. Now personally, I use chicken hearts for some of my other snakes, and over time I started trying some of the smaller pieces with this snake just to see if it would take them, and it turns out he loves them. Whether this is universally true for DeKay's browns, I can't say. Maybe mine is just weird, but it does show that it's possible. You definitely want to do your research before you start training your pets in different foods, and be ready. It's not always an easy process. In terms of habitat, DeKays are a ground-dwelling species found throughout fields and forests, preferring areas that offer much ground cover, which I'm sure probably has some of you wondering why this one's home is a tall tank built for an arboreal species. You know, it must have so little space, there's only a little bit of ground, how awful for that improperly housed animal. The truth is, this was only meant to be temporary until I had the time to focus on building a permanent home more suited to its environmental niche. To my surprise, however, he seems quite at home among the rocks. I usually find him at the very top of the tank, in this cave-like space here where he tends to sleep off a big meal or stay when he's in blue, or crawling among the branches and plants. Now to be honest, it's embarrassing how many times I can't find him. I search, I look up and down, only to realize he's right in front of me staring back, camouflaged so well that he appears to just be a stick. Who knows, maybe some of this happens more often in the wild and some of us just need to get glasses to document it. This wraps up part 1 of the Danger Room tour. Again, these builds were all completed prior to the channel's inception, but I hope to produce step-by-step tutorials in the future and look forward to sharing more tips and ideas. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2 in this series. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and find your X Factor.